We are in this gorgeous backyard and we are going to set up a movie night, but this movie night is slightly different. We're going to set up for a dive-in movie night. What does that mean? That means we're going to put the screen right up to the pool. So on that hot summer's night, you can be laying in the pool and watch the movie. As we want to get the screen really close, we're actually going to rear project the screen. It's going to be a very, very cool setup. And I'm going to walk you through most of that setup right now. You can, of course, do this yourself, but using a service like Funflix often makes that a lot easier. Just some really quick things. You're going to make sure if you're doing it yourself that your projector is bright enough, especially if you're rear projecting, you're going to lose a lot of that light and struggle with image quality. So let's get cracking. First thing I'm going to do is lay the screen out. So before I blow up, I've got three very important things to do. One of them is to make sure my zippers are all zipped so the screen stays up. The other one is to remove the black backing so we can rear project. And the third one is I still need to run power. Now, when you're doing an outdoor movie night, if you are using an inflatable screen, you really want to keep that blower on a separate circuit than your AV equipment. So you're always looking for 2 circuits is the best option, especially if it's that inflatable screen. So let's get this done. That's basically ready. Now I'm just going to run my first set of power and we're going to get this inflated. Here it goes. Perfect. So I'm going to put the 2 speaker stands up right now, and I'm going to make sure they're not next to the pool. They're going to be to the side of the screen, so they're not going to get wet. So you want to be kind of out of the splash zone, and that will be perfect. So the next thing we need to do is work out exactly where that projector table needs to be. If your projector's too close, you're not going to fill the image. If your projector's too far away, it's going to bleed off. I happen to have already measured all my cables, so I have marks on my cable. I know exactly where it needs to be. So I'm going to make that measurement now. If you're doing this yourself, you just have to check the projector manufacturer's recommended size. But if you're using a professional service like Funflix, they're going to deal with all of that stuff for you. So let's get this table set up, and then we can wait for sundown and get this movie going. This is a 16:9 in aspect ratio and in size. It's a little bit large for a backyard, but as you see, this is a medium-sized backyard and it fits pretty good, gives you that wow impact. If you're doing a rear projection, if your table is too high, you may get hot spots on the screen. So when you look through, you actually see where the projector's sat. So often when you're rear projecting, if you can drop that table down lower and kind of project up, you're not going to get those hot spots and you're going to get a better image on the screen. It is way too bright for us to start the movie, but what we can do is we can connect the audio and we can play music until it gets dark enough for the actual feature itself. If you do want to do a dive-in the day, the only real way to do that is through LED screens, and we do have an option, various LED options. It's really not going to be something that you'll be able to do kind of in your backyard cheaply, but it is an option if that's something you really need to do. If you're doing this yourself, you've got yourself a projector, you're projecting on the wall, whatever you happen to be doing, with your speakers. If it's a physically connected speaker, typically you're going to have less audio issues. If you're using a Bluetooth speaker, Occasionally you're gonna get a delay with it, so just be aware of that. And if you have physical cables you can connect, rather than relying on the Bluetooth, that's probably the best way to go. I know not having cables is really nice, but for that best reliability, using cables definitely the way to go still. We have set this up right next to a pool, and you may be worried about what happens if the screen gets wet. Well, the screen itself has no electronics, and most of the things like speakers we've actually got set back from the pool. Let's go have a little look at that. So you see we have at least 6-7 feet from the speaker. Even if we drop this speaker, it's not going to be falling in the pool. The screen itself, this can get wet, that's fine. And all our video equipment is going to be way back here, which is great. The other thing you got to consider anytime you do an outdoor movie is think about at night when it's dark, did you create tripping hazards? Now, if you look, this whole area is going to be an unused area, and I pushed all the cables to the edge and ran them down the side of the house. So that's kept it out of the area. I found 2 different circuits, so I know I'm not going to pop a circuit when the movie starts. If you've got anything like a popcorn machine, make sure that popcorn machine goes on its own circuit, or you're going to have a very deflating experience. Thank you very much. Outdoor movie humor right there. Excellent. So now we are actually set up super early. I tested the mic's good. Right now we could play some music, but to set up the projector itself, we're gonna have to wait for it to get dark or just before dark. When you rear project, you do need to leave it a few more minutes later than you normally would. I know the sun's gonna set right behind the screen, so we will have to be patient, but it's definitely worth it. Going back to the lighting, we have the coolest setup right here. If we look, we have this gorgeous swimming pool, which would be amazing for an outdoor movie. I know there's pool lights. We've got the gorgeous fountains, but I also brought some up lights. Now with the up lights, we can do things like light the tree, light all of the various palm trees, which is gonna look stunning, and just give it more of an ambiance. And of course, there's the in-pool lights and all of that fun stuff as well. So I'm just gonna place a couple, and then when it gets dark, we'll get that full effect. So these are the lights that I have, the up lights that I have. They do have batteries in them, so you don't have to have cords running to them. That makes them really easy. We're not gonna turn them on yet, but you can choose a color theme for your party or whatever. Definitely do those colors. I'm gonna set them up where I think is gonna be good. You can come with me. And then when it gets dark enough, we'll turn them all on and we'll see how that looks. You may wonder, what movie should I show? Of course, you can show any movie. Animated stuff is always fun, anything super bright. But I find it's fun to do a water-themed movie. So you could always do something like Soul Surfer or Dolphin Tale. These are all good options. Moana, that's all about the ocean, all about the sea. Absolutely perfect. Go back to the 80s, go something classic like Overboard. And then my daughter loves these, and secretly so do I, but don't tell anyone. Teen Beach Movie is the way to go. Veggie Tales, if you remember the Veggie Tales, this is one of their classics. The pirates that don't do anything. There's a really catchy theme song to that one. We are the pirates that don't do anything. That's really frightening because that was over 10 years ago that I used to know that song. Finding the Pixar stuff, Finding Dory, Finding Nemo, finding everybody else they have. And of course, we'll stay with some of the animated stuff. We do have Little Mermaid. But if it's more of an adult party and you want to be a little bit different, you can always go with Pirates of the Caribbean. It's still got that nautical feel. The ultimate movie, and you can scare people with, is Jaws. And if you have somebody who swims underneath and pulls somebody's leg while they're watching the movie, it will officially freak them out. So not the best kids movie, It's a little slow for most kids these days, but what a great flick to watch when you're in the pool. I hope these really help you choose what movie you want to use for your outdoor movie, dive-in movie event. The image on the screen that you can hardly see is from this really cheap Amazon projector. It was advertised at 7,000 lumens, but we cannot see anything on the screen. I'm now going to switch over to one of the projectors we use at Funflix. That's the difference a quality projector makes. That's one of our laser Epson projectors. So you may notice that that image is backwards. That's because we had to flip it to rear projection. Let's walk around the front and you'll see. And then when you get around the front, of course, it's the correct way. That allows us to keep all of that AV way back there where it's protected from the water, and you can have a wicked water, wonderful movie night in the pool.